Hello everyone, I'm afraid I don't have a fishing video for you. I've been out and about looking for fish in various places but just not finding any. This tends to be the reality at this time of year, so I've been looking to tie up some flies ready for the spring. And one pattern I'd like to share is this one I've got in my vise, which is Ferguson's Green and Silver. And this is named for Bruce Ferguson, who is a pioneer of saltwater fly fishing in the Sound, and an early advocate for conservation efforts, which we still benefit from. So I tied this when I was new to the sport, because it's a very easy tie, and I remember catching some sea runs on it at Eglon. But since then it's been a bit of a bench warmer in my fly box, and I think it's time to give it some more attention. Now, I found it in this book, Fly Fishing Coastal Cutthroat Trout by Les Johnson, but the illustration and the provided recipe don't really match up. According to the recipe it should have a tail, but there's no tail in the picture, and he also specifies a standard length hook, while the illustrated fly is quite clearly tied on a long shank saltwater streamer hook. So the pattern also makes an appearance in this book that Les Johnson wrote with Bruce Ferguson himself, Fly Fishing for Pacific Salmon, because this fly was initially developed for targeting coho. Now in this case it is a little clearer to follow because we do see the tail, even though it's got Krystal Flash in it, which isn't in the recipe, but he does specify a hook which appears to be consistent with the picture. So I've taken all this information together and come up with what I believe to be what was the intended pattern. So let's zoom in and start tying. I'm going to use a Mustad 34011 in size 6. It's a strong streamer hook with an extra long shank. This is one of only a couple I've got left, and I want to use them up. So Mustad's replaced this model with the S74 SAP. This is also 4 extra long and 2 extra strong, and it's in a saltwater resistant matte finish with Mustad's alpha point. So it's really sharp out of the box. And I'll use these when I've run out of the others. Any strong black thread would work. I just happen to be using uni in 6/0. And I'm going to start my thread a good 2 eye lengths back, and that will serve as a visual reminder for me not to crowd the front of the fly. And I'm going to wrap it back to just past the hook point. So for the tail I'm going to use white calf tail. The original used polar bear, which I haven't got. You could substitute bucktail, I guess. So I'm measuring this little clump to about half a hook shank length. Tie it in, and I'll trim the butt ends to about the length of the body and then tie it down. For the rear half of the body I've got flat silver diamond braid. I'm going to attach that at the front with just a couple of loose wraps, and then I'll pull it through to gather all the ends together. Then I'm going to tie that in along the top of the hook. And I'll take that back about halfway. I'll cover the body in some overlapping turns, and I'm going to take it up a little bit further than where my chenille is going to tie in. And just tie that in securely with wraps in front and back. Clip away the surplus. Now I looked for plain rayon chenille, but neither Wapsi nor Hairline make it in chartreuse, so I got this Wooly Bugger chenille in medium, which has got a little bit of flash in it, and I think this will do fine. I think I tied my earlier ones using chartreuse ultra chenille, which would give you a slimmer profile and it'd be more velvety. It's up to you. So I'll just pluck off some of the pile to bear that core, and then secure that to the hook with some tight wraps. The recipe calls for 4 turns, but this stuff is quite bushy and I think I'll only get 3 or so turns. Yeah, 3 turns. Make sure that's really tied in well. I'll clip off the excess. Then I'll take a little bit of time to tie down any of the fibers that are going past my tie-in point. And my wing is going to be bucktail again. Sorry, calf tail. And it's quite a slippery hair, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of extra wax to the thread to make sure that it's going to grip the wing fibers. I've cut myself a sparse clump and I want to measure that to almost the full length of the tail, and I'll cut that to length. I'm just going to offer up the calf hair to the hook. Pinch wrap. Make some securing wraps. You want the wing to be at an angle to the body like this. So the final thing to do is to add a little bit of flash. So here I've got 2 strands of pearl Krystal Flash. I'll just advance my thread to the eye and then wrap the flash around the thread and bring it to the top and secure it right along the top of the calf hair. And I'll trim those to slightly unequal lengths. And then finally I'll just make a neat thread head. I think a couple of those could do with a bit of a trim. Now just put in a whip finish. Get rid of my thread. So you could finish the head however you like. I'm going to use some Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. Dab on a bit of that. So I will let that coat dry and add another one later on. So there we have Ferguson's Green and Silver. Should be good for sea run cutthroat all year round. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Tight lines and take care.